Colorism, a prejudice, discrimination based on skin color. African Americans are affected. Africans are affected. East Indians are affected. Asians, South Americans, and countless others are affected by colorism. Colorism has a social, political, economical, and most importantly, a psychological impact on the race and the individual. Today's show is 50 Shades of Brown. Listen to the many voices as they share their thoughts and experience with colorism. Also, listen to some of the potential solutions to this problem. Some may agree, others may disagree. We ask that you enjoy 50 Shades of Brown. I am your host, the voice of We Provoke Thought, and for that, we do not apologize. Good day, I am the voice of We Provoke Thought. We Provoke Thought is an organization and show that is the platform for those who have an opinion, idea, or educated information to share to the world, an outlet to voice your feelings and facts. Today's show is 50 Shades of Brown, where I have a host of guests that wish to share their thoughts and experiences with colorism. In addition, I have a special guest, an Egyptian Sudanese American, author of the 2006 Diary of a Lost Girl and the Sexy Part of the Bible, the poet of the Nile River Woman, a writer, model, mother, the infamous, the famous Cola Booth. But before I begin with that, we always like to give the audience an idea of the demographics in which we're reaching. Therefore, I pose this question to you all. What city, state, or country are you in? Baltimore, Maryland. I appreciate you. Thank you. Las Vegas. All right. You're all the way out here in Maryland. So we got two from Las Vegas, Nevada.
I'm from Darmstadt, Germany.
Darmstadt, Germany. Germany. Okay. All right. Atlanta, Georgia. That's what's up. What are you doing out here in Maryland?
I go to school in DC.
Oh, you go to, okay.
And I'm passing through to fly out.
All right, cool. Well, what school, if you don't mind?
Howard University.
Howard, yeah. That's the original HU, right?
Right.
represent.
I'm Rodney, out of Baltimore, Maryland. I'm in the restoration field.
Oh, Columbia, Maryland. Somerset, New Jersey.
Washington, D.C.
My name is Fred. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I am a holistic health practitioner.
Hi, everybody. This is Robin, or I'm better known as the Curvy Momager online, calling in from Bakersfield, California.
All right. Well, my name is Roland. I'm from Maryland, USA. That's about it. Dark skin, as you can see.
LA, Maryland.
LA, Maryland. Wonderful. City, state, or country are you in?
I'm from London, UK, South London to be precise. My name's Miss Mercy Me.
And now, your host, the voice of We Provoke Thoughts. And for that, we do not apologize.
Good day, I am the voice of We Provoke Thought. And as again, we're going on with the discussion on colorism, which is 50 Shades of Brown is the name of the show here. And I'd like to pose this question to everyone. We're going to start off with a young lady in Virginia. What do you believe the origin of colorism is?
The origin of colorism. I want to say that I believe, in my opinion, that it started from the segregation from slavery in the field and the people that worked in the house. You were always considered to be able to work in the house if you were lighter, if you had something that was unique to you, as opposed to the darker complexion of Black people getting darker.
Got you. And how about for you, Miss Mercy Me?
Yeah, I would agree with your lady that it definitely started with slavery, and I would say in other countries, maybe where slavery wasn't so prevalent in other parts of the world, that it's to do with straightforward economics, I guess. So as you were saying, if you're working in the fields, you obviously have to work a lot harder for your money, and if you're sat in the lovely house, you know, overlooking your field workers, you're not going to get as dark if you're sat in a field. So therefore, straight away, you know that within the same race, the darker you are, the harder you're working, the lower your class, the lower your status, and it's from there as well. Yeah.
All right. And my gentleman in Ohio?
I think it has to go back further than slavery times. The mentality of lighter and brighter is better also had to exist during times of Egyptian antiquity. You know, when slaves were building the pyramids, or slaves for farmlands. It had to exist way back then. I think it has been just brought to light as far as our country is concerned in slavery. Slavery was, America, so to speak, was one of the last places that slavery was brought into existence. Slavery was there in Africa as well before it came here. But the distinction between the lighter people of hue and the darker people of hue has been going on, I think, for thousands of years.
All right. And for you, Miss Kirby Momager.
I would have to say, from a point of reference, it would go back to slavery as well, where, you know, they had the brown paper bag test. I think what everybody said is pretty accurate. My upbringing, my teaching has just really probably gone to that point. I'm a 70s baby, so that probably would be just my point of reference. But definitely, it didn't stop there, for sure.
All right. And then my gentleman out there in Baltimore, Maryland.
I sort of take a different approach to it. I don't think colorism had, you know, anything to do with blackness. You know, let's say it's not a problem. I think it became a problem for the people in power, white people specifically, who they felt comfortable with. At one point in time, you know, English or Europeans marveled over the darker skin, and as they got more familiar with the lighter skin seemed to make white feel a little more comfortable with black. And I think that's when we began to pick it up, is when we saw they were comfortable with it, and there were benefits to it, like some of the callers have said about being in the house with them and being able to be around them and serve them in the house instead of in the field. So I think that's where it's coming from, is basically still want to serve this white mentality, and that's pretty much my take on it.
All right, and I definitely agree with a lot of you on that, on where the origins of colorism. I mean, basically, it's just another form of racism. But let me go in a little deeper with this. Being of a darker shade, how has colorism impacted you in your life?
Definitely when it comes to dealing with other black people, or specifically in like the dating world, it's usually they want the light skin, long hair, because that's prettier than being dark skinned for some reason. And then with people who aren't black, a lot of times they think sometimes you're a little stupider than like the lighter skin. You're supposed to be more athletic but less smart, as though darker skin means you don't have brains.
So you would say it has it's just the darker the shade, it has a more negative impact. Okay.
Yeah.
How about for yourself?
I've had, I guess, less experiences with it, but more so in like the whole dating thing, like she said.
as far as the lighter the skin, the prettier and it's usually with girls, I have to say,
Okay.
less so with males. But the lighter the skin, the longer the hair, the prettier you are, the more attractive you are.
Right, right,
So,
right.
I've heard that, oh, you're pretty for dark skin. Yeah.
All right, all right. So it's mainly within the race you have more of a negative attack basically from women versus the men. The men, at the end of the day, men just look at beauty as some men.
Some do subscribe to the light skin, long hair theory.
All right.
And then others, it's just, I don't know. Most black people in general, it just seems like, even as a kid, they tease you, oh, you're so black, but what's wrong with me being black?
Right,
Even if it's innocent, there's still jokes about it.
Right. And it's been going on since slavery,
Yeah.
and it's still here today, even more so because of social media. You find that it's just like prevalent all across the social network. Light skin be like, dark skin be like, and how does that make you feel? And also, how has it impacted you with maybe even with school or work or at home?
It makes me angry personally because a lot of times the people saying this, their parents or their brothers and sisters look like that. And it's like, so if there's nothing wrong with your parents or your brother or sister, why is there something wrong with me being brown?
Right. And for yourself?
I would have to say I have to work a little bit harder on self-esteem. Hasn't necessarily affected me in school and stuff, but as far as personal life, you just have to work a little bit harder to know that you are worth the same.
Own that brown skin.
Right. Embrace it. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So now, were you born and raised in Germany? Okay, so then you have a totally different perspective.
Yeah, it's way different actually. Over there, like I definitely have experienced like differences in the whole like colorism aspect of it, and from what I've experienced is like certain groups are more susceptible to try to engage in conversation or even remotely have anything to do with you. Like, like in Europe, it's kind of like if you're like a lot of my friends, they make jokes that are a little bit darker skinned. They're like, if it's like a group of white people, then they're like, okay, hey, you gotta go talk to them because they don't respond to darker skinned people as well. That makes any sense. Yeah. Like, that's personally what I've experienced, and it's like vice versa too. Like sometimes you experience like the similar thing too, talking to like the darker skinned individuals.
Okay.
Light skinned, so.
All right. So it's not just one sided with the
it's
prejudice.
Definitely back and forth. It's kind of like I don't know. It's definitely different in Europe.
Now, have you experienced it? Now, how has racism or colorism affected you or impacted you here in the States?
Not really. Like, I haven't really been here that long. I've been here for like 2 weeks. So
okay.
I haven't really experienced nothing yet.
All right.
I've heard a lot of bad things, like, Rodney King stuff. And
oh wow.
Stuff like that. So I'm like,
you're talking about
really
decades ago.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, but it's definitely different so far.
All right. How has colorism, the racism within the race itself, impacted you?
Everybody got a choice.
I was about to say, yeah, we choosing. Especially since we sisters, they definitely choose.
Okay.
I want light skin, I want dark skin.
Right, they just look at us and be like, caught it.
Right.
Right. So do you feel as though because you being of a lighter shade that there have been rewards that come with that? You've been treated differently in a positive manner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see a difference between me and my sister.
All right. And how has it impacted you?
It's like every time I'm with her, I always end up playing third wheel. Every time she with me, she always end up playing third wheel because they prefer dark skin, and then her friends prefer light skin. So
right. So you feel as though it's a balance then. It's not necessarily just mainly light skin. Most folks do prefer the either or with you.
Yeah, either or.
Okay, all right. Now, as for your say job and outside of your relationships or so, have you been treated differently, say at work or at school because of your shade?
I have at work before. I worked for like predominantly Caucasian people.
Mm-hmm.
And
stand out.
Right.
Everybody just looks at you while they're walking.
Right. Especially because I'm eccentric. It's like they just look at me like I'm awkward or something.
And they make assumptions.
Yeah.
If you have colored hair, oh, she ghetto.
All right. Now, do you want to express anything else about colorism?
Yeah, I'm about to put my foot down.
All right, good.
Excuse my
What?
The light skin bench right now. And another thing.
No. It is a lot of dark skin versus light skin.
Like
we
in the
all
house?
black at the end of the day. Not all of us, but what we're talking about.
Right.
We're all, at the end of the day, we're all African Americans, so I really feel like it shouldn't be no controversy at all.
Exactly.
But it is.
Like in the house, light skin arguments.
Oh yeah, we have light skin arguments.
Oh really?
Just the light skinned people in the house. The dark
Her mother is light skinned, my father is dark skinned. So me and her mother will go at it. Dark skinned people just sit there and just be looking.
No, light skinned people always gotta have the last word.
Do you feel as though then that there is a difference between light skin versus...
It's like the attitude.
The attitude. I was about to say.
Definitely the attitude.
Yeah,
Where do you think that stems from?
How they grow up.
And because light skinned people, for some reason, like all light skinned people always think they like now.
They always gotta explain themselves.
No, because I was really trying to say though, like for real. Light skinned people, because they all, for some reason, light skinned people think they all that just because they light skinned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, no offense. So, like, yeah, they just go at it all the time because their attitude is terrible because they like, oh, I'm light skinned, I'm all that. And dark skinned people already know, like, dark skin wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just, like, I don't know. I don't know how to say it without sounding racist, but I'm not racist. I like dark skin. But light skinned people was too much, and I know because I'm one. And I know. I'm too
Anybody
much.
knows.
I definitely know.
I know too, because I got to deal with this every single day. Man,
my attitude isn't that bad. I've come to understand that I have a light skin attitude. And once you know you got a light skin attitude, you're good because you now admitted it. So you can now get past it.
So acceptance and embracing.
You know,
it sounds like a drug problem.
Yeah,
exactly. She makes it seem like she got an addiction to explaining why she's not getting it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you again. It's going to be some good footage there. It's going to be some good footage.
They're going to be talking about
There was a documentary done called Dark Girls, and that documentary really, I believe, touched on a lot of the issues that we're about to discuss today. And I felt as though it did a good job in doing so. It was directed by a gentleman by the name of Bill Dukes. Unfortunately, with the social media as we have it today, it's just prevalent. I mean, it's running rampant to the point where, you know, it's being joked upon by both the light-skinned or the dark-skinned men and women. And it's not something that is just geared towards one particular gender, as is it's not even geared toward just one particular race, but it's sickening. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show everyone a photograph that basically really influenced me to go ahead with this particular show here today. And when I show you this photograph, I want everyone to take an opportunity to really look at this photo and to see how does it affect you when you see it? Because when I saw this photo online, it disgusts me to no end. And this photo that I'm about to show you is the real reason why I'm doing this show today. And I'm going to show everyone this photo that I'm speaking about. Okay, I want everyone to take a look at this photo here. Okay. Now, when you see this photo, you know, these are just some of the photos that Wow. And we're gonna come back to this last photo there.
I've seen that.
Okay, so back at this photo here. So this particular photo, that particular photo there, where you had the, they had the, what do you call it? The strawberry, all nicely cut and fresh, ripe strawberry, and that's supposed to represent light-skinned women. And then you have this nasty looking slices of what is this, roast beef or what have you, just cut up. And I mean, someone took their time to really pick out these. I mean, for one, these are photos that, these aren't just photos that someone just took. They took their time to select these photos in what they felt was their representation of both light-skinned and dark-skinned women. So I'm gonna leave, from this point, I'm gonna leave the floor open for anyone to jump in at their time. When you see photos such as this, I mean, how does that make you feel? How does that impact you at this very moment?
Anybody's can talk, or
Anyone. I just want you to go in at this point.
well, this is disturbing, but I would say that when all of this came out, I think on social media, it was maybe maybe it's been close to 8 months now, dark skin versus light skin, and it definitely refers more to men. I've never really seen anything, well, a couple of things about girls, but more about men being light skin, dark skin. And I looked and I was like, what's the difference? If a man is good, it doesn't care if he's light skin, dark skin, white, it doesn't matter. But a lot of people are taking it to the nth degree, as we find in social media, because everybody can hide behind social media. It's disturbing because when it is on social media, my kids can see it. Everyone's children can see it. And that, even though we're raising them to be, more conscientious and not worry about these things, they're exposed to it. So we have to constantly deprogram them, or constantly monitor what they're doing, because social media is so free to everyone. But I just, it doesn't matter if somebody's light skin, dark skin, as long as they're a good person. We know that within our race, though, this is a huge issue. I happen to be a lighter skinned female, and some people always say, well, she's so pretty and her hair is so nice, but that doesn't mean anything. If I'm not a good person, what's the importance to me being light skinned? If somebody's not a good person, what's the importance of them being dark skinned? I hope that things like Lupita getting nominations for her work and being put out there, so that she's more of a vision of what African American people are. They're not just one, are getting it now to say, okay, we need to cut this out. But this picture, yeah, it's pretty disturbing.
Right. And anyone else that want to chime in on that?
I would say that picture for me personally isn't that, I think it's disturbing in terms of, as you say, somebody who took their time to make this picture, putting a strawberry with beef, and that's supposed to be ugly and everything else. But in all honesty, it doesn't actually affect me, I think, how it's supposed to. I think that it reinforces more what we know a lot of people already think. Seeing that is not news to me. When you're in school and you're a dark-skinned girl and you get called blick, which is a phrase that I don't know if they say that in America, but they use that in London a lot if you're a dark-skinned person, or you're very pretty for a dark-skinned girl and that sort of thing. This more so reinforces for me what a lot of people already think and the prejudices that are out there. But in and of itself, it doesn't bother me that much. But I think because I'm quite secure in being a dark-skinned girl. So, but it upsets me if somebody else was to see this.
Okay. And how has colorism impacted you in your life?
Well, I think as a I'm a 50 plus year old man, and as a young kid, it affected me a great deal. In the neighborhood, based on, even in school, I was a very good student as well, and I noticed, how the teachers, spoke with them as opposed to me, and I was treated differently. I was treated differently even in my own house. The kids in my own home were a little lighter than I was, and they used to you know, tease me and call me names like Sambo and different disingenuous names as a result of my color, even in the neighborhood. I mean, I remember playing games like Catch and Kiss, and the young lady said to me, first time I ever heard it, hey, I'm not kissing that black man. You know, we're all African-American people. But that's what she said to me. Fortunate enough, I had a wonderful mother who assured me of who I was. So I wasn't, you know, I never bought into it. I was a really good athlete as well, so I was treated a little better as a result of that, but it definitely was something that was very prevalent during the time in the 60s where the transition was being made at that time. Extremely so.
Right. Now, would you say that with colorism, is there, to you, would you say there's a benefit to being light-skinned versus dark-skinned?
I think at one time it was. Not so much now, because, you know, bald head, dark-skinned African-American men seem to be in.
Okay.
But at one time, it was not.
Right.
But as the transition was made, and I think it was, you know, James Brown during the time, he said, I'm black and I'm proud.
Right.
And then you had guys, you know, come out and like Michael Jordan when he got the bald head and being a, you know, so we moved away from that a lot. And I haven't felt that since then. Okay. So I you know, hasn't affected my life. Maybe the kids now are coming around, but not me.
And let's say a gentleman out in Ohio. What are your thoughts on a photo such as this?
It is, you ask 100 people, you know, to you know, what is their perception on that particular picture, and you might get 100 different answers. To me, light and dark I treat them with the same respect. You know, we all are human beings, and I haven't come across with that particular instance or experience in my life. I've come across prejudice, just outright prejudice, but not to distinguish between light and dark, although I know there were distinguishing features. But the picture in itself doesn't really, you know, make my stomach turn, but from the person who developed that particular picture, you know, I think there's something wrong with him or her.
Right. Anyone else that would like to chime in on that?
Yeah, I would like to add my 2 cents. You know, I don't see what the whole deal is. Light-skinned women wear their hair blonde to look like white women. Dark-skinned women wear blonde to look like white women. I don't understand what the battle is here, because they're both still, again, trying to appease white supremacy. It makes no sense. I don't mind, though, if you put 2 black or light-skinned and a dark-skinned in the room and they fight to the death, I have no problem with that. You know, as long as blacks are benefiting, those two, where they come from, are benefiting. White people go at each other all the time, and somebody's benefiting. We don't benefit from them going at each other, you know, if you will. So I don't have a problem with us. You know, you want to bicker back and forth about light skin and dark skin. Okay, well, which light skin and dark skin can do something about the problems in the community? I don't care which one wins, as long as it serves us. And this whole thing about, you know, these little pictures and stuff, I don't see what the point is, because both of them are serving, you know, the interests of white people and trying to make white folks comfortable. I just can't get past that.
I'm confused. You're saying that black women are trying to make white people comfortable by the way that we dress? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say dress. I said light-skinned women. If there have been several times when I have gone into a supermarket and Beyonce has been on a cover, and if I didn't look twice, I would have thought it was a white girl. But at the same time, I could look at a Sports Illustrated magazine. There's Tyra Banks, who's darker. There's Serena Williams, is darker. They're wearing blonde hair. that look white too. I just don't.
But there's a lot of white women who are born with dark hair who dye their hair all kinds of colours. I don't understand that why when a black woman puts colour on her hair that it becomes trying to be white. Nothing about my skin tone could ever suggest I'm trying to be white. I would never bleach my skin. Yet if I put a bit of hair dye, I'm trying to be white. That is impossible.
I'm saying that we are trying to make white comfortable. I'm not saying that you're trying to be white. I mean, you can take it how you want. We're trying to appease them and make them comfortable. Beyonce wouldn't be popular with dreads or an afro or nappy hair and that sort of thing. I mean, it's light
You don't think it's just a personal cosmetic choice?
And her daughter is.
Absolutely not. I think they're both, light skin and dark skin, are both doing the same thing to each other. This battling is serving right.
All right.
It doesn't do anything for us.
All right. And then the young lady in Virginia, you had something you wanted to say.
Either way, for as long as I can remember, I used to take acting classes when I was in my early 20s, trying to go a different route than the route I'm going right now. And in those classes, you're taught that individualism is not going to be appealing to the norm or to the audience that you're trying to sell a product to. So I remember when I was younger that you used to see black women on TV, but you might not have seen various shades of color because of the people behind the screen who were confusing that represent
a culture or a race. That's been for years and years and years. That still doesn't have anything to do with just black women, light skin or dark skin. That has to do with just media in general, who's in control and what we see out there. I know that there's a few years ago they had a Cheerios commercial. People were in an uproar because they had a mixed couple on. Like there haven't been mixed couples back into the 60s and even before then. But because people are uncomfortable seeing that, but that's a depiction of a real family out here. This is how the makeup of the United States is going. This is how the makeup of a lot of places is going. It's not just black and white. The whole issue with that picture, to me, in my opinion, goes back to the origin of it. Light is good. Light is right. Dark is evil. Dark is what you see represented by thugs, or, you know, whenever you see actors and stuff like that, they usually pick somebody that they consider to fit the part. It's all based on light versus dark. In other countries, they go through the same thing. In Japan, if you have light eyes and are real pale, you're considered special. And if you be less than somebody who had lighter skin. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the ideology that people have that the good guys wear white, the bad guys wear dark colors at the basis of it all. So that's colorism.
All right, and how about my gentleman out there in Maryland, Mr. White?
I don't think that picture is meant to influence white people at all. I mean, or anybody from any other race. Pictures like that, things like that, this argument we have between dark-skinned and light-skinned people, that doesn't affect white people at all. If they're going to discriminate you, they're going to discriminate because you're black. If they don't like black people, they're not going to say, oh, the light-skinned guy is okay and let him in, and the dark-skinned guy is not. They're going to discriminate against all black people. The issue I have with it is it just shows how we just can't get along. Our race should be, we hate on each other more than any other race in this world, and I just don't understand why. I mean, obviously that picture was made by, I'm guessing, some light-skinned guy or something that was good about dark-skinned women, men, or what have you. But instead of us just sitting there and washing it off and saying, oh, whatever, I mean, we have a ton of us who just feed into what he's doing, and that's the biggest issue I have with it.
All right. Well, and from there, let me ask this question, and I pose this to everyone, and I'll start off with my gentleman in Ohio. which is worse, colorism or racism, with what we just now heard here? I have a special guest, an Egyptian Sudanese American, author of the 2006 Diary of a Lost Girl and the Sexy Part of the Bible, the poet of the Nile River Woman, a writer, model, mother, the infamous, the famous Cola Booth.
I'm so glad to be talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. So which would you think is worse, colorism or racism? Or do you see a difference in the two?
I think that colorism is the root activator in racism. Colorism is, for instance, let's go back to the slave trade, this time in West Africa. The Berbers are indigenous Africans who many of them are so light-skinned that they look white. And they were not ever enslaved by these white people who came to get these West Africans. The West African kings sold a lot of the black people. Initially, they sold several, but then the white people infiltrated and took over these kingdoms and pretty much, started to enslave the people by capturing them. And the Berbers were helping to capture black people and sell them, at that point later. The Berbers, and they were accepted because they lacked the color. They lacked the dark skin. They lacked that coloring, even though they were African people who are indigenous to Africa. By being so incredibly light and not black-looking, they were able to transcend it. So, racism, so much of it is based on color.
Right.
And it's the reason I call it the root activator, because if you can look almost white, if you can look like Mariah Carey or Jennifer Beals, then white people will have a different type of racism towards you. It's much easier. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you look so much like them until they can somewhat more see you as them. And so the color is really the thing that drives the racism, the amount of color. The darker you are, the more fearful they become of you.
As an overall circumstance, I think racism is more profound than colorism. Racism takes in colorism. Racism is the blanket that colorism comes up under. Reason why I don't like racism, because it is a learned trait. You're not born, and racism is not in your DNA when you were born. You learn that from peripheral friends, mostly from your mother and father, from your parents. They learn racism from their parents and their neighborhood, their social interaction with their friends. And that is the main reason why I don't like racism. Being light-skinned, in my point of view, I know that it gets them at times, sometimes, one up, so to speak, on others, because that is still prevalent. I was watching a movie just last night. It's a B movie, and the secretary, the camera panned over to the secretary, and there was a light-skinned lady, long hair, light skin. Why couldn't it have been, a lady with darker hue, a darker lady? So it is very prevalent, especially in the media, What we have to understand is that the media is governed by, people who want to orchestrate how things are going in our society. You can't forget about that. So that is why Beyonce is how she is, in my opinion, or any other light-skinned person who is in the media is on. Things are steered in a certain way because of a small group of people.
All right. And my young lady in California, what do you believe? Do you believe colorism or racism? Which is worse?
Racism is worse. Colorism is a shame, because we need
I like that. Okay.
more united to get beyond racism. If we're fighting amongst ourselves, why should we ask another race to respect us? It's pointless. So we have to start acting on one accord so that other people can respect what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, and because we have a young lady from the UK, for the most part, everyone else is from the US. I think it's important for everyone to understand the differences or the perspectives between how different races are treated. Out in the UK, out in London, how is colorism? How does it impact you? How does it impact those socially? And how has it affected you, whether it be negative or positively?
I would say that it seems to be an issue in London. The whole light skin, dark skin thing is not something that's new at all. It's been around since I was very young. London's really diverse, and it's kind of everything is a melting pot. I was called, blackie, blick, but I've only ever experienced racism from black people in London. Colorism, should I say. I've never actually experienced direct racism, being called any kind of offensive black terms personally from white people or outside of the black community. It's always been within the black community that my skin color has been referenced directly, and usually always in negative ways. And I would say for dark skin boys, it's a different story. That becomes a bit more of an issue when you start to look at, I suppose, how they're perceived in terms of being dangerous, and what my lady, I think Virginia said earlier as well, that they're perceived as dangerous and, more gangster types, and you do get that in London a lot more, and light-skinned boys are seen as more approachable and light-skinned girls are seen as more desirable. But only up until a point. I would say that's more of a teenage thing. And then once people are in their 20s and 30s, it's less of an issue in terms of light-skinned women being considered the number one desired thing.
All right. Well, and with that, if one would everyone agree that there's a programming here? Are we being programmed? For one, I believe, racism, colorism, those are all distractions for what's really important out there. And I don't believe that we can overcome racism until we overcome colorism, because they're both hindrances in our progression as a race, as a whole, as humans in itself. But nonetheless, I believe that it is a distraction for what's really important. And now that we've defined it, and we've identified with it, now let's start talking about the solutions and how we can create a unity if need be. I don't see why there needs to be a unity, because at the end of the day, whether you're light, whether you're dark, you're still black, and you're going to still be treated however you've been treated before. It's not going to change much. Only in certain countries do I find where the lighter shades, I know in the West Indies, the lighter shades, they were considered coolies, and these would be either the East Indian mix or sometimes even a Asian mix or what have you. And with being lighter, you were more susceptible to becoming more successful. You had a better chance in political seats and things of that nature. And then we can go over to the West Indies, the East Indies, where you have the darker skinned Indians, East Indians or what have you, in Brazil, the Dominicans. I mean, there's obviously a problem with the color obviously we've been programmed, and it's not just affecting the black race. So let's start talking about how can we devise a solution for this. I mean, we've defined colorism. Let's go ahead now and start working towards that solution. And how do you think that we can overcome this this epidemic that's only been amplified through the social media networks and the internet and things of that nature? And we'll go ahead and start with my gentleman out there in Maryland.
I mean, we just have to stop letting it affect us. Like, say, for those images that you showed, maybe under the, you know how they can post things on pictures and stuff like that, if it showed that nobody was really into it or influencing or actually, I don't know, giving into what he was trying to, message he was trying to send, I think eventually it would kind of weed itself out. But as long as we continue as a people to feed into it or feed the fire, so to speak, I think it'll never be an issue. It'll never stop. Like, say, when you were talking about Beyonce on the magazines and things like that, and that's the kind of rise they're trying to get, these dark-skinned girls saying, oh, they can be white, or light-skinned girls saying, oh, she's trying to be like this, or it's a problem that we can fix. We just can't feed into it. And you see in the media all the time. I mean, back in the day, I don't know if anybody remembers those house party movies. And you had the light-skinned guy, kid who was going to college, and he was trying to be a good guy. And then you had the dark-skinned guy. All he was trying to do was get women and get rich quick schemes and this and that. And everybody was talking about how funny it was and entertaining, but it's not funny. That's not what we're trying to do. You can't keep showing this division in us and then we go and support it. Or even Tyler Perry movies, we make jokes about it. You know, the dark-skinned guy is always the bad guy or the evil guy, or he's always up to something. And then here comes the light-skinned brother who loves Jesus to come save the day. And then we all flock to his movies and this and that. And we can't keep supporting things like that. We have to let them know that, no, it's not funny. No, we're not going to accept it. And we need to start treating each other equal. Just black people, just as one. And stop looking at color as just big division between us.
All right. And my young lady in Virginia.
Well, I believe that once we start having an open discussion about it and realizing that we're all on the same side, we're all fighting just to get the same footing as everyone else. Colorism to me is a bigger issue because you can't fight something bigger than you if we're all divided, if we're all on different sides. Have everyone united as just one people. We have so many different colors in the black race that it should be awe-inspiring and not a judgment. There's enough judgment that comes from the outside just by the color of our skin, no matter if we're light or dark. So at the end of the day, if we can't, as a people, decide that we're not falling for the ideal that light is right and dark is wrong, then we should be able to get away from this judgment of each other because of the color of our skin. And you know, I just as an example of the guy that was arrested and had that picture that everybody thought he was so fine and it was spreading all over the internet. This is somebody that was arrested for a crime. Grown women pulling this stuff up on their phone and feeding into it. If it was a dark-skinned brother that was on that same thing, do you think that they would give that any type of play? It's all according to what we allow each other to get away with. I have to check myself a lot of times too, but this is all stuff that we've learned over our lives from our experiences and stuff like that. So if we can just take away that judgment of color, we can start to fight all the other judgment that we get as a race and as a whole.
Colorism impacts you in general.
Well, it's sort of, how can I put it? It's sort of insulting to me, really.
Okay.
You know, and I try not to be racial against my own people, but that's the way they make you feel. You gotta keep them in check. So it stirs up some feelings in me from time to time.
Now, do you believe that colorism impacts the African community as much internally as it does outside the African community?
Well, outside the community, yes. Still here in Maryland, you find a lot of racism, and the white folks definitely mistreat us a lot. And you know, I'm a doorman down here downtown, and I get mistreated a lot due to my color and due to the job that I have to do with dealing with them. Yes, sir.
Now, do you believe that there is a benefit to being light-skinned versus dark-skinned?
No, I think it's a benefit to being white.
Okay.
But other than that, no, I don't agree with that.
How does colorism impact you in your life?
Well, it doesn't necessarily fully impact me from an intra-racial aspect, but I've seen the impact of colorism amongst different people that attend to the stereotype. You see the light skin versus dark skin and intra-racial arguments and stereotypes that attend to a certain archetype that are very, very old. And from those old archetypes, they just get transcended from person to person. And I think more modernly now, you know, we're in 2014. Things are different from 1995, 1975, and further back. I haven't seen the same attendance to them in my circles, but I see people still attending to them. It's just that my choice and association with them has been different than not.
How about yourself?
I haven't directly been I guess, impacted by it, but I do see it definitely with different circles, especially dealing with females and dealing with different guys, their preferences and the way they talk about probably dark-skinned women over light-skinned women and kind of the classism within the class. And it's wrong, but like I said, the people I associate with, you know, deal with people of all colors, shapes, and sizes, and you know, my family comes in all different colors, white, black, dark, skin, light skin, so it doesn't affect me because you know, I surround myself with people who respect everyone, not basically for, you know, what they look like, but their character and what they bring to the table and stuff like that.
How about you, sir?
And with me, I think I'm more associated in the workforce more with me, especially with my mom actually being light-skinned than me with actually being light-skinned, where with her job, she's more so in the front field with her job as far as like greeting and everything like that. So it's more presentable when you're a light-skinned person as far as, I mean, dealing with different races. As far as with me more so being at the darker tone, I more so wouldn't be the front person more so, but more so behind the scenes, more so in the corporate world as far as getting things done. Like that's more so where I see things.
All right. Now, do you think that there's a benefit to being light-skinned versus dark-skinned?
I guess from that aspect, that benefit comes from the person trying to attend to that individual. I don't think there's an absolute benefit, but it depends on who has the upper hand in the situation as to who's trying to allay a certain case. You know, I'm a person of power. I have a job aspect, and I have a prejudice to a certain skin tone. If my prejudice is towards, you know, dark-skinned women by all means, then guess what? That's what I'll attend to, and vice versa is also true. So I don't think that there's an advantage unless you're in an advantageous situation. You know, after a while, you start to understand a person, and regardless of the countenance, you see there's either good or there's bad in that individual. They either attend to the situation in business and life, whatever, et cetera, or they do not. It's just the hard part is that front door, that first piece before that first encounter, like you're saying, before you see anything or hear anything from anybody else, is what do you like and what do you attend to initially. That's the hard part, but that's based off of the opposite individual's own prejudices themselves.
Yeah, I feel like people are stereotyped. I mean, no matter who you are, when you meet someone, you already have a stereotype of what you think you're going to get from that person or how they're going to act, or based on their clothing, tattoos, you know, where they come from, how they're talking. Like, everyone has those types of stereotypes, but I think where it becomes wrong is after you meet that person, and if you still have, you know, negativity towards them, I think that's when there's more of an issue. Because no matter what, like when you meet people, you're going to have some type of thought process on them based on your dealings with them, or by your parents, or from someone else's account. So everything in life is kind of building up this stereotypical way that you see people. But I think, you know, once you actually meet someone and see how they are, and I think it should go down at that point. But like Kenny said, in the workplace, you know, it's tough because if you can't get in that front door, then it's a wrap. Like, you can't get a job if the powers that be don't like people of this type of ethnicity, or like, you know, lesbians, gay, LGBT community. Like, it's tough. So I think more on a person-to-person basis. You know, everyone has their stereotypes, but once you meet anyone and they're cool, like, oh, this dude's cool. Like, it don't matter what I thought about him or these types of people, you know, he's different. But what that shows you in life is just because people look a certain way, people can be, you know, all types of, you know, different ways.
I also think it definitely plays a role, especially with the stereotypes as far as the way you approach people. Because it's almost like you're programmed and taught throughout life that, you know, light-skinned people may more so have a chip on their shoulder, and then the more of the dark tone may so be more aggressive because they feel as though they have to actually assert themselves because of the way the light-skinned people are actually treated at that point. So I think it definitely plays a role with the stereotypes.
Yeah, and then my gentleman out in, let's say, Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, there's no solution to I guess, racism or color, as long as it's race is going to be racism. Historically, races invaded Africa for the resources. As they gained power, then race became a problem, because if Chinese people or white people get power, they're going to look out for themselves. I don't have a problem with black folks bickering over what skin color looks better, as long as it's benefiting us. It's not benefiting us. It's not beneficial to you. Then what are you partaking in it for? We're not benefiting from the bickering. I live in Baltimore. There's 200 murders a year. It could be east side, west side. I don't care. If they're killing each other, then one side should be able to build businesses and schools. It's just all this bickering. It's not. We're not gaining anything. And this is my problem with the whole racism. We can be racist. Let's be racist. We get racist. We can out and destroy white supremacy and other people that feed off of this. Because they're the ones benefiting from this. We're not. That's the problem I'm having. We're not benefiting from all of this.
So then, what would be your solution then? What would be, if you have that magic bullet? Then what would be your solution? Because obviously, even though you say it does not affect you, and even though you say you don't have a problem with it, as long as it's benefiting us, well, clearly colorism is not benefiting us, because it's a strike. It digs deep in the souls of both men and women, and it affects both men and women and adversely. You know, a dark-skinned woman, or a dark-skinned young girl, or dark-skinned young man who grows up being taught and being programmed that being light is better, knowing that he has to feeling as if he or she has to work harder in order for her to be accepted, in order for him to succeed, or vice versa. Being light-skinned, feeling as if though you're privileged and then you're better than another black male or female. I mean, so even though it may not affect you, it does affect your people, so to speak. So with that, what would be your silver bullet then? What would be your solution? Because we've already identified it. It is here. So now let's address it. You know, and instead of just saying I don't have a problem with it unless it benefits, as long as it benefits us. It's not benefiting us, clearly, or we wouldn't have this dialogue.
Well, we have to determine this. We have to determine the picture. We talk about inferiority complexes and superiority complex. One thing, we think one is better than the other, or one looks better than the other. White folks have that problem. They in the sun. They do all kind of things. Like one of the young ladies said, they do things with their hair and all that, and trying to emulate us. But they still use it to benefit them. They still benefit from it because they use racism. They are still racist. I don't care what they do to their lips, their butt, their skin. White folks maintain white supremacy used with racism. They're still racist. We have to be racist. We got to start hating things that don't look like us. I'm sorry. It's going to work. It's the only way we have to learn the thing. If you ain't white, if you're lighter, if you want to be lighter, you're inferior, I guess. And let's just turn this thing around with what we have, like everyone else does. They use what they have. We're not using, and we're more resourceful than any other people on this planet. We're not using what we have. Just use what we have. If you have the ability to hate, you have the ability to pick color and all that, fine. Use it to benefit your people. So we got to turn it around and just start using it against people who are oppressing us and who are benefiting from our racism and our color.
Okay, well, you now with that, you just said we got to use what we have, but at the end of the day, you still haven't given us a solution. So I'm gonna leave the floor open for anyone else who wants to jump in.
Yeah, let me chime in. Solution in my perception is that it starts as a kid, a young child, for their parents to school them, educate them on non-racial way of life, non-racial society, because parents influence their children the most, then it's their friends. But if parents will say, be proud of who you are, lift your head up, okay? Don't walk around with your hands in your pocket and your head held down. Be proud of who you are. What you do for yourself, is what you think of yourself. All right? What you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself. And what you know of yourself depends on what you have been told, period. So if you can educate your kids from the get-go, then all this racism will go away, start to disappear, because it's a learned process. So if you reverse that learning and educate the kids, and because kids up in 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, they don't know what racism is. No idea, okay? Until they get influenced by some outside peripheral influence.
All right.
So what we do as a grown-up society makes a difference in the world. It makes a total difference in the world. We have to take the responsibility to exonerate ourselves before we can exonerate anyone else. You have to love yourself before you can love anyone else, okay? So you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else, okay?
All right.
What we are on the inside defines who we are on the outside. Pure and simple.
Indeed. And my young lady out in California.
What he said was so important. I got to say this and probably get off the line from here. I have another event. But you have to love yourself. It's self-esteem. We're raising young ladies that have no idea how to love themselves authentically. They see the Beyonce, that they see whatever in the media, Kim Kardashian, whatever it is, and they so want to be like that. But being themselves is just as good as being Beyonce or whoever they're envisioning they want to be. And as women, we have to help instill that in them. And as men, for fatherless boys, and that's a whole nother conversation, you have to step up to the plate too. Just because someone doesn't have that opportunity doesn't mean that you can't take that upon yourselves to mentor them or to help them see the way that they should be as well. So I think we have to start at home with our own kids and not just do it at home. When we see other people that need that help, we have to help them too. But I am going to sign off now. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Oh, no, most definitely. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity as well for you to share your thoughts.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. And for my young lady out in London.
Yeah. I would more steer towards, so I don't know the gentleman's name, what guy with the white t-shirt, Maryland is it from? I would more steer towards that sort of ilk of thinking to improve it. It starts with the kids and it comes more from a place of love. I don't really agree with the ethos of, they're racist, so I'm going to be racist. And we're all racist. Like, that doesn't solve anything to me. Right. I really just think that it has to start with not even love your dark skin, love your light skin, just love you, love who you are, and just be a good person that's worthy of being loved and appreciated, regardless of everything else that then adds to the outside. And it's not just a question of light or dark, you know, it could be fat or skinny, it could be tall or short, it can be all kinds of things. You know, you haven't got good skin, you've got clear skin, you've got bumpy skin, it could be anything. So it's just about loving thyself, giving love to others. And, you know, I know it sounds very idealistic and it's not really a concrete thing to start from in terms of improving stuff, but it's racism is a mental thing. It starts as a mental process anyway, and then it plays out into, you know, thoughts, deeds, actions. So if you start with the thoughts, then hopefully the actions will start to improve also.
Right. And for my young lady in Virginia.
So as far as, you know, racism, I don't have to hate you in order to love myself. It starts with you and you loving yourself for all your imperfections and your flaws and for all the good things that you do. Then that goes to going out into the world and becoming that person that can accept people for who they are. It doesn't have to be about race. It doesn't have to be about color. It can just be that life is just hard anyway. So why give anybody else any power over you to make you feel a certain type of way about yourself? If you pay your taxes, you love the Lord, you love your children, you love your husband, and you're a good person and would help anyone else if they were in need, that should be the judgment of how you are as a person, not who you are as a race or a color.
And I agree. But so now let's take another step there with this question here. I'm gonna start from a young lady in the UK, in London. There, what are each of you? What are your preferences when it comes to you know, the lighter shade, darker shade? Do you yourself have a preference?
Absolutely none. Doesn't even faze me at all. Like, I more see, you mean in terms of having a partner?
Yeah, intimately, you know, relationship wise, yes.
Yeah, honestly, light skin, dark skin, white skin, Asian skin, I'm literally about the person. Like, I have a white fiance, but I've dated some of the darkest guys you'll ever meet prior to that. And it's not really a consideration for me. It's about you being, I'm more like, you need to be a man and be a real man. And that's first and foremost, because you could be, I don't know, that guy, for example, that the lady brought up earlier, some prison guy who's supposed to be considered beautiful primarily because he's light-skinned with blue eyes, and he's a prison felon that's getting celebrated. Right. That is inconceivable to me. So for me, you have to be a stand-up guy first and foremost, and then, you know, aesthetics plays into it, but not determined by your skin complexion, more by, you know, how your features blend together, I suppose, and if I like your face, yeah.
Right. Now, do you prefer, when it comes to your relationships or so, do you prefer a particular shade over another? Light skin versus dark skin?
Runs the gamut.
All right. No preference there. Do you prefer, when dealing with the significant other, do you prefer a light skin versus dark skin?
I mean, a woman is a woman. I mean, it comes in all shades. I mean, our colors, they just come in all shades.
Right.
What looks good to you might not be looking good to somebody else. But
right.
But you got the taste and texture of what you want.
Right.
You know, to each his own. So
okay.
I say, man, I like both of them.
You like it all, right? Yeah. You want all the candy, dark chocolate or milk chocolate, right?
That's right.
All right. What are your preference when it comes to being with the significant other? Do you prefer light skin versus dark skin? Be honest.
I prefer dark skin, honestly.
All
My
right.
grandma always said the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
All right. And for yourself?
I've never had a preference at all.
All right.
Whatever I find more attractive, I said
All right. Do you have a preference when it comes to a lighter shade or a darker shade?
I don't. And, you know, it seems to me, for whatever reason, and you know, because opposites attract.
Right.
But for me, it was not a big deal. I really never cared one way or the other.
All right.
But I always sensed, and this is the truth, that when women who were of a lighter complexion than I always chose me.
All right.
So you know, just noticing that and just looking back, and I thought about it. I talked to, you know, folk about it over the years. So, you know, what likes you, you know, you get in where you fit in.
Do you prefer light skin versus dark skin?
Well, as a married man, my wife just happens to be more on the lighter scale. However, in just past situations romantically, it hasn't mattered.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think over time, it's kind of like, as I gotten older, I haven't been towards more of a type, but just being able to talk to a person, the communication, their intellectuality. So I think, you know, for me, I've dated women from all different races and colors, and like I said, you know, from black to white to light skin to dark skin, and for me, it's more about the connection than the skin color.
So
it's also affected me. When I was actually younger, I also had a preference with the light skin due to the long hair and things of that nature. But now that I'm actually older now, I've actually realized that it didn't really make a difference because my soon-to-be fiance is actually my skin tone now. So it's definitely changed over the years.
Romantically, do you have a preference when
I
it
love
comes?
my chocolate sisters. Yes, I do.
Now, do you choose light skin versus dark skin, or it doesn't matter?
I would say I'm really attracted to dark-skinned women.
All right.
For some odd reason, I really am.
You like that darker the berry, huh?
Darker the berry, sweeter the juice, yes. But I love women, period. But yes, I'm attracted to dark-skinned women. Yes, I am.
Wonderful, wonderful. Do you prefer light skin over dark skin? What's your preference? What's your preference?
Goodness, man.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I say, medium brown.
Medium.
Yes.
he ordered it like a steak. All right, that's cool. Hey, I appreciate you. Do you prefer, with your significant other, do you prefer a lighter shade or a darker shade person?
I like dark skin.
You like dark skin. Okay.
I don't know how to say it without sounding racist, but I'm not racist. I like dark skin, but light skin people is too much, and I know because I'm one, and I know I'm too
Anybody
much.
knows.
I definitely know.
As for your personal preference, do you prefer a different shade over another? And you could be honest here. We all have preferences.
No, honestly, I would have to say maybe yes, because like there aren't really that many darker skinned individuals.
All right.
And the ones that are, they tend to be from like Africa and stuff. But that really isn't the type of thing that I'm personally interested in.
All right.
But, I mean, everybody's different. I don't root nothing off of a specific race or anything, but yeah, it's definitely different.
Right. And for my friend out there in Maryland, Mr. White.
You're attracted to who you're attracted to. It is what it is. I mean, if they're a nice person, it doesn't matter if they're light skin, dark skin. I've dated all shades, sizes. It really doesn't matter. I mean, I don't feel like I'm more in tune with dark skinned women because I'm dark skinned, or more against light skinned women because I'm dark skinned. It really has no issue to me.
Let me ask you this question then. How has it impacted you though, colorism? I mean, have you been treated differently being a dark-skinned man? Do you feel as though you've been discriminated against by light-skinned women or men because of your skin tone?
When I was younger, not so much now. I mean, it was like the young lady from Virginia said, now, I mean, we're all over 30. It's the same struggle no matter what your shade is. But growing up, yeah, they try to create that dynamic against us where you're dark skinned, why aren't you meaner? I mean, people who know me, I'm the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But since I'm dark skinned, I was supposed to be this angry, aggressive guy 24/7. And growing up, you kind of learn through it. I mean, you mature and people understand that that's not the case. Growing up, just because you're dark skinned, you're not supposed to act a certain way, or when you're light skinned, you're supposed to act a certain way. But not so much now, but definitely through high school, through middle school, yeah.
All right. I want to actually throw that question right back at you, Miss Mercy Me. Oh,
Hello.
Like how have you been impacted by colorism? Have you been discriminated against by, say, lighter skinned men or darker skinned men or women?
No, in all honesty, not at all. As I say, when I was younger, like my guy just said, there was more of a thing from other lighter skinned people that, you know, you're black, you're dark, and all things said in negative ways. But that was more, I think it's teenage bullying, not bullying because I wasn't bullied, but teenage just banter even, you could call it. And for me, because I was dark skinned, that was the thing they clung onto, because they perceived that to be a negative. The next person, it would be you're too skinny, the next person it'd be you're too fat. You literally weren't going to please anybody.
Right.
If it's just based on aesthetics anyway. In terms of dark or light skinned men, that's not been an issue either. I mean, I haven't dated that many men, but I mean, yeah, it's not, no one's ever said anything negative to me from men.
Hooray to your fiance on that one. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's, you know, you can bring him into it. He's a white guy. He's from a place called Cornwall in London, which is quite country. Right. He had never even seen a black person until he was 14 years old.
Wow.
And, you know, here we, had never seen one before in the flesh.
Man, he and then 20 call then.
He does. No, he said probably not realize how it's a drink, but yeah, he was, you know, and 20 years later, he's marrying a dark skinned black woman, and he sees me as absolutely beautiful without,
indeed.
You know, growing up with all of that empowerment and this and that. It's just, as you say, as you guys said earlier, racism is learned. Absolutely.
Well, then you should be going like this too then.
Like what? I can't see you.
Say again?
I did. What did you do? I
said you should be going like this, like well, that's cool. That's cool. And for my friend out in Ohio, what your preference? Do you have a preference? And
no, I don't have a preference.
And also real quick, also how has colorism impacted you? Have you been discriminated against, or do you feel as though you've had a benefit in through life being lighter skinned and all?
I don't think so. Like I said earlier in the program, I haven't been exposed directly with getting favorites because of my skin tone. Right. I don't think. I've gotten favorites because of my intellect, my intelligence, and how I produce as far as work is concerned. When you give your all, and it is recognized, you will be taken care of, basically, you know, hopefully, in normal circumstances. But I don't think I have been discriminated against on a couple of things in the corporate world. But it didn't bother me that much. I still, you know, put my nose to the grindstone, as I say, you know. And when the door closes, the window opens. So, you know, I go into another direction, you know, and don't let it get me down, you know. Just use that power as an enforcement and continue on in your life. Dating, I have no preference. I've dated dark-skinned women, light-skinned women, tall, short, Chinese, Japanese, South American, all kinds, Peruvian, all kinds. There's no preference to me. I'm not prejudiced in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That's how I was brought up.
Right. So, and then just to spin on that, like sometimes even talking, and I guess in this case I'm going to side with I'm going to kind of side with the gentleman out in Baltimore, Maryland. At the end of the day, as I've mentioned before, it's all about, to me, it's all a distraction, whether it be racism, whether it be colorism. It's all a distraction for what's really important. I mean, because then if you really start to look at things, you start to ask your question, the questions start to lie that Is it really that important? Because then there's contradictions in this whole colorism thing, because there's the saying, you want a tall, dark, and handsome gentleman. I mean, so at the end of the day, do you want them light or do you want them dark? So, you know, with that, you have to, is it now in a period of time where light skin are looked upon as being better than dark skin, and then all of a sudden we shift, the polars shift, and now all of a sudden dark skin is in and light skin is out? I mean, because you've had that as well. I remember growing up, and, you know, it went to a point where, you know, light is in, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, now all of a sudden dark skin is in. And, you know, of course, our celebrities have played a heavy influence in that as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and shoot that question over to my gentleman in Baltimore, Maryland. And we already know, you know, unless it benefits us, it's not important. But do you have a preference, though?
A preference as far as female, or
yeah, like, you know, in your you know, your intimate life, do you prefer a lighter skinned woman over a dark skin, or vice versa?
No, I come from a race that has the most beautiful, most sought after woman in all of this world. I don't look outside of her. I like her light skin, dark skin, brown skin. I like her black, and black only. I'm prejudiced, racist. I don't like nobody, no woman that's not black, period. So, and I teach my girls, you either bring a black man home. I have 3 daughters. You bring a black man home, or you don't bring no one home at all. We either fix this problem we have amongst ourselves. We start with our children. If you are over 20, I believe 2021, a revolution has passed you. We got to do this through our children. My children do not discriminate. They are not into light skin, dark skin and stuff. They're into black. That's what we have to get into. I don't know why we keep missing this boat. Just get into us. Just get into us. Even if we have this problem with black and, I mean, darker and lighter, let it be about us. That's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with the argument, because the argument is frivolous anyway. But let's get into us. And how we do that is just denouncing everyone else, like everyone else does with us. They denounce us. They control. We are the only people that our skin color can be played with, because everybody else looks alike. Asians look alike, white look alike, Indians look alike. They all got the same color. We're the only people who can be played with. We got to stop allowing this to happen to us.
All right. And for my young lady in Virginia,
I just have to say that your daughters should be able to bring home whoever they want, as long as they are a true. At the end of the day, if you peel us all back, do we not bleed the same blood? I grew up in a family that came from the West Indies, and I have Indian, I have Spanish in my family. So there's not only different hues of black in my family, there's different races mixed together. So I've always been taught that the person is the most important thing when you're judging of character, not of skin color. Because there are shiftless white people out there. There are shiftless, all types of races. But at the end of the day, would you want your daughters to bring home a black man just because he's black? Or would you want them to bring home a black man that's a good man, that will provide for your daughters, that will make sure that they lead her into a direction that is beneficial for the both of them? If we don't start with the colorism is at the basis of our hating ourselves. And if we can continue to hate ourselves, then the job for anybody else who has problems with black people is already half done. Because if we hate ourselves, we stay divided. It should never be about color. It's about character. At the end of the day, my mom and dad, they never had a problem with a type of color of a man that I brought home, but he better be an upstanding, respectful, and honest man who is willing to not only love me who I am, but take care of me as a precious commodity. Just the same way that I would take care of my husband if it was the shoe on the other foot. If we don't stop hating and amongst ourselves and judging amongst ourselves the different colors and grading ourselves in far as levels and stuff like that, there's never going to be a time where we can stand. At the end of the day, we have to come together as one unit. It doesn't matter light skin, dark skin, whatever. We need to be a people that love ourselves, and then we can get to the racism part.
All right. All right. Well, and with that, I mean, it's obvious that one cannot speak about colorism without addressing racism. So you have, obviously, colorism is just as important, though racism is worse. Colorism is just as important as racism, because again, even with this dialogue here, we could not talk about colorism without speaking about racism. And here I'm trying to focus on the problem within the black race, if you will, but yet we continue to we then branch out and start talking about whites and this and that, the other. At the end of the day, we first have to fix. We can't the community. I can't correct the community or what's going on in my community until I correct what's going on in my home. My home has to be right first before I cannot come to someone and expect them and can help them complete themselves if I'm incomplete myself, you know. So and that's the reason for this dialogue, and that's what I was trying to direct here, is just the basic focus on us and how we can find a solution with this problem, colorism, the problem, because obviously it's a problem, and obviously the problem allows us to look at other areas, but again, it's just a distraction, because here we're talking about colorism, but then we're going off and talking about racism with the whites and so on and so forth. You have to fix what's in home first before you fix anything else. And if there's anyone that disagrees with me, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, let me chime in here, because I disagree. Let me just say this: Black folks do not live in a community. Community is when you control your schools, you control your stores, you control your press, you control everything within your community. We don't control nothing. Go in a black community and see who's running your convenience store. We live in hoods. Your family is not part of a community. We have to fix the problems we have, and all of this other stuff you're talking about. This, yeah, they are distractions, but they don't have to necessarily be looked at that way. We can use the same energy, and we just have to turn it on the same people. What if we were racist towards Indians and those people and Arabs or whites who could come in our community and suck it dry and do nothing for the community? This whole bickering back and forth I keep saying about color, and I have to sign off after this, but I have no problem with it as long as it's benefiting us. It's not benefiting us. So we have to teach our children, because these people that are putting these little pictures up and doing all of this stuff, they're gone. They're already gone. You might as well write them off. Let's start with our children and teaching them how beautiful black is. How sought after it is, how every man wants the black woman. It's how she's the queen. She's the only queen. She's the only one who has a real history of being a queen. The rest of them, I don't know what they are. But we just have to change this, host. And I'd like to tell everybody, I have the utmost respect for everyone's opinion. Here, I enjoyed it, but this is not an issue as much as we think it is. If somebody puts a little picture up of somebody dark skin and light skin, I mean, I don't see what the point is.
So with that, before you just skate out of here, now with that, I mean, you know, okay, so you see that you don't see a problem with that picture, but how? Obviously, now you said you have three little girls, right, or three young ladies, or what have you, 3 girls.
Yeah, they are 17 and 16.
All right. And their skin complexion?
I have 1 dark skin, 2 light skin.
Okay, all right. So now let's just say, because whether it's happening to your daughter or daughters, it's happening to somebody's daughter. where they're affected by their skin color. And that has a psychological impact on that child, okay? And it's not helped through their community or their family or their group or their hood when you have other black children berating this young girl or this young man about his or her skin tone. And again, this has a psychological fact. Now, I get the whole raising of the race through power of property and through power of businesses and so on and so forth. But let's understand that colorism is an issue that affects people psychologically as well. And that psychological breakdown affects how they perform in life, whether it be with whites or whether it be with blacks. That broken self-esteem affects how that person deals with anyone, whether it be white or black. And that broken person has to be fixed. That broken lifestyle, that broken family has to be fixed before you can even raise up your own race. Okay, so what are your response to that? How do you, because at the end of the day, colorism affects people psychologically as well, and that psychological breakdown affects people on how they perform in this world, period, whether they're dealing with whites or blacks. So we're taking whites out of the whole, whites is out of this now. Now we're dealing with a psychological issue. It's called colorism. How do you fix that?
Well, I think, when I was young, I had thick lips. My people heard every lip joke in the world. There was my white teacher who told the class, hey, listen, man, people pay money to have their lips look like his. I never heard a lip joke after that. My thing is this: we are black. When you identify black, you identify with dark skin. Light skin people say that they're black, but who are they identifying with? They're black. They're identifying with us. As the Greeks named us Ethiopia. Ethiopia means burnt faces. So you're identifying with us. You can't look above us and you're identifying with us. What sense does that make? You can't say your blackness, which is like a off, brand, like an offspring of us. You can't say that you're better than us. This is what I educate my daughters on. You're light skinned. You're more favorable to people who are light. But we are the ones. We're the pyramid builders. We're the ones who civilization. We the dark ones. So you call yourself black. You're identifying with me. I am at the top of the totem pole, if you will. I'm not saying I'm superior to light skin or dark skin. I'm just saying this argument makes no sense because I am the black. I am the one that you're identifying with. So you're not better than me. You're not bigger than me. I think when you have that mind state, what else? What discussion is there? There's no discussion. There's no problem after that.
All right.
If we understand it.
All right. Is anyone else that has any points on that?
Yeah, you can. I understand what you mean about trying to get a benefit out of the community or out of the black race, but that is a social economic concern versus a racial dilemma. I always encourage anyone from an outside culture to embrace their culture, to embrace their race, and know where they came from, know where they're going. But to also be intellectually open to embrace other cultures. To say or to tell my daughter only to bring home someone of darker hue? No, it's her choice. That's her choice to bring home whoever she feels like is going to treat her with respect, number one. Okay, color has no issue. If that is your preference, that's fine. Maybe you can say that or suggest that, but on the bottom line on that, it should be left up to her who she wants to bring home, as long as he has systemic, basic respect for her and for you. And that's how I feel.
All right, all right. And anyone else? My gentleman out in Maryland, Mr. White.
It's a tough one to swallow.
You said it's a tough one to swallow?
I hear what my friends from Baltimore are saying, and I can kind of see where he's coming from with the us against them type of mentality. But you say that, you know, you're not trying to tell your daughters and stuff like that you're not trying to be supreme, but we're the dark skins. You come from us, but that's the issue. You shouldn't be telling them you come from us. We are all one. We are us. There shouldn't be a difference. There shouldn't be a distinction. It's kind of hard to explain, but that in tune there is the issue. That's the problem. We are one. It is a problem. Just turning a blind eye to something doesn't mean that it's not a problem. It just means you're letting it go and focusing on other things. It is a problem. It is an issue. We are all the same, no matter if you're light or dark. It's not, we built the pyramid, so you come from us. We are one together. That's it.
And for my young lady in London, Miss Mercy Me.
I would agree with the gentleman that just spoke and say that the first guy, I completely appreciate where you're coming from, and you know, with the whole Black empowerment, I do respect that side of you, and your passion is evident for your love of the Black community. But I feel that, and you know, you kind of addressed it in saying that you came from us. Whilst I suppose it's kind of true, I feel that it's reinforcing the divide. We're just reiterating the very thing that we shouldn't be doing. As my man just said, we are one. We are all Black people, whether you're of us or dark, because you know, I'm lighter than another person who's more of a purpley blue hue, and I still see myself as dark as him, and I can still identify with the lightest the lightest Black person in the world, because I see myself as Black first and last if you ask me about my race. But before all of that, I see myself as Mercy. So I think we have to be people first and everything else second.
And from a young lady out in Virginia.
I just feel like I don't have to waste any energy showing racism to be able to have pride in my own race. I don't have to hate another race in order to have pride in my own race. I just think that wasting that energy on any type of negativity and hate is what, as a society, we can't get away from. That if we focus on ourselves, and starting with our children and our daughters and our cousins and people around us, just changing the way that people think and stuff goes to self-love. You don't have to hate anybody else, whether it be for race or any other reason, to love yourself and to have pride in your race. We can uplift ourselves by just changing our attitude. Make up the Black race. That should be something that's awe-inspiring, that we can come in so many different shades of beige, brown, dark blue, purple, that we should find things to appreciate in the Black race itself and in that person, not just because of the tone of their skin, because we already have enough outside things that we have to worry about on a daily basis. And don't feed into that.
All right. Well, and I want to first off thank everyone for participating in this discussion here. And as mentioned by the young lady, Miss Mercy Me, I think everyone recognizes the passion, and I believe we all share in that passion and our love for our race and for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But with that, so I pose this question to everyone. and I'll start with my gentleman in Baltimore, Maryland, with the answer. If you had the power, what would you do with it?
Right now, the way I feel with colorism, the way it's being used, my people are being watered upon. So if I had the power, I would fight back. I would wage a war against those who are benefiting from this. That's the only thing that I see. I think if I had the power, black folks would go to school. They would not learn, about other races and many of the lies being told. They would learn about them first. It's about you first. You learn about you. It all started with you. You shouldn't be going in school learning about anyone else. So if I had the power, it would be about blacks. Because if we don't run this earth, there will be no earth.
All right. And with my young lady in Virginia, if you had the power, what would you do with it?
That's such a loaded question. That's such a loaded question because if I had the power, I would make everybody blind for a day and have to develop some other instincts other than their sight to judge people.
All right, I like that. And for my gentleman in Maryland, Mr. White.
I would have everyone switch races just for a week, just so we could all see exactly what it was like on the other side of the fence, so to speak. Okay? I feel like once you know where the other people are coming from, you're going to appreciate exactly what they go through on a daily basis. And I think the hate will stop. I think the ignorance will stop. The stupidity that is racism will stop. Just a week of knowing exactly how other people live would help everyone.
All right. And for my gentleman in Ohio, if you had the power, what would you do with it?
Having the power, I'm going to take it to another level, to the extreme. Having the power, I would erase racism in everyone's mind. Okay. And just eradicate that disease. That was it.
So, but nonetheless, I'll pose the last question to you because I thank you for joining us from the UK, from London. So, Miss Mercy Me, if you had the power, what would you do with it?
I've had the most time to think because I don't know what I would do.
I had the most time to think too.
But it's a difficult one. I almost wouldn't want to do anything with it because I feel that things need to be organic and need to be real. I don't want to, it would be amazing to wave a wand, but then I feel no one would actually have ever learned anything. So I think that the power for me would be to people to just to learn from the mistakes of the past. Please, like, how hard is it? We've been through so much hatred in the world. Like, there's massive problems in the world beyond light skin, dark skin. Like, children are getting bombed tonight, and we're fortunate enough that we're sitting with lights on, able to have this conversation. So if I had to wave the power, wave the wand, it would be that can we learn from the mistakes that we've already made and are continue to making, and it to be an organic growth from there.
Right. I know. Well, I like that. See, it didn't have to be profound. I mean, you did. I mean, I'd use my powers in other ways as well. But nonetheless, I mean, and I do agree with everyone, and at many different points, even with my gentleman from Baltimore, Maryland. Especially from the social economical aspect of things. But I don't agree that more racism is the answer or the key to ending racism.
No, yeah.
That it is, but nonetheless,
and the whole world goes blind.
Right? So. Yeah, I did like that too. From my young lady in Virginia. Well, I thank you all for allowing We Provoke Thought to be the platform for you all to voice your thoughts and feelings on colorism, 50 Shades of Brown. Obviously, this, it requires an intervention with us all, addressing both the light skin, the dark skin, the youth out there, because as we all agree, it begins with them and it will end with them as well. So with all of that being said, I thank you all. I want this opportunity. I'm going to take this shameless plug, take this moment here. Everybody show off your Provocative Thinker shirts, because you are all a part of the We Provoke Thought Provocative Thinker panel there. They thank you very much. Now, and for those that will be viewing this, it'll be available on our YouTube channel and our Facebook fan page. You can find We Provoke Thought on Twitter, and you can either add us at We Provoke Though or hashtag We Provoke Thought. But I would also like to take this opportunity to bring to the attention that we have a phenomenal makeup artist out there in the UK, in London there. Her name is Miss Mercy Me, and I'll let everybody know how they can find you on your YouTube channel, Facebook fan page, and Twitter.
Absolutely. I'm on YouTube, where it's primarily about beauty and hair, and that is Miss Mercy Me, Mercy with an I, all one word. And it's the same on my Instagram, my Twitter, and please go ahead and like my Facebook page and thumbs up. And it's all Miss Mercy Me, and I'm London-based makeup artist also for bookings.
All right. And as mentioned earlier, we have a gentleman here who is a holistic therapist as well. And I mean, is going and people need some therapy around here, and what better way but holistically. So if you want to go ahead and share any information, if not, that's fine. If you want to share any information, please feel free to take this moment to do so.
Yeah, I have no website. I rely solely on word of mouth. So there's nothing that I don't do any marketing or anything. Very little. Business cards, but that's about it. But I rely on my skill that I've acquired over the years to help people heal themselves. And I do it in various different ways. Reflexology, I'm sure you all have heard of. Therapy, kinesiology. Kinesiology is the study between pain related between muscle and bones. And I normally can take care of any kind of muscle and bone pain in a few minutes.
All right. Well, when I'll discuss it with you later. If you want, I can, in the description box on the YouTube channel, I'll put all of that information for Miss Mercy Me and her YouTube channel, as well as her other social networks. I will add your email address or any other information that you want to provide for the holistic therapy. With us before was a young lady by the name of Robin, and she is Curvy Momager, and she has a blogger, and she too has a YouTube channel, and I'll provide that information in the description box as well. But again, I thank you all, my panel of provocative thinkers on We Provoke Thought, and for that, we do not apologize. I'm going to say goodbye to you all on the other end.